this thing feels raw. Totally forgot about the automatic rev matching. It's interesting when you have been driving a car where you have to rev match it yourself, and then you get back in one that does it for you. It is definitely, it catches you off guard a little bit. You got to get used to it. This thing drives so good, so good. Wow. Man, do I miss the M2 days. But this thing is absolutely beautiful. M2 CS. This one has 7,000 miles on it, you guys. This is again going to be an Alta Auto Group review. Huge shout out to those guys for giving me the chance to review this car. I've never driven an M2 CS. I have driven, obviously, OG M2, owned one for a while. It has the N55. I've driven M2 competitions with the S55. This one, I believe, makes 444 horsepower. It's like 39 more than the competition. The obvious upgrades are the weight reduction. This also has carbon ceramic brakes on it. It's got the carbon fiber hood. It's got the carbon fiber roof with the checkered pattern. Really is a beautiful car. This is supposed to be one of like the best driver's cars that you can get. You know, me being a little bit biased because I have a soft spot for the M2, and I absolutely love the way that the M2s perform and handle. This is supposed to be the top tier M2, so we're gonna see. We're gonna get into some corners here. This also has Sport Cup 2s, Michelin Sport Cup 2s on it. Fantastic tires. I believe the M2 CS comes with the Cup 2s. In the Alpine White, this car is just beautiful, beautiful. If I were to buy one, it would be this spec. This exact spec. If you guys are interested in buying this car or any other BMWs, make sure you check out Alta Auto Group. They got plenty of really, really insane, cool cars for sale. I just saw they had an M4 in original paint, Nardo Gray, that they just got in. Saw a couple of F80 M3s, a couple of M5s there. Just tons of great, fantastic cars. The reason I really like Alta Auto Group is they just do things a little bit differently. They buy cars that are a little more specific to car enthusiasts rather than just buying like run-of-the-mill, you know, Corollas and stuff like that to turn over. They buy interesting cars, and that has a lot to do with the owner, Caesar. He is a man that likes his modified vehicles and just cars that are performance cars, and you can tell by the cars that are on his lot. But let's get into this video, man. This is one that I'm really excited to do. Caesar FaceTimed me when he got this car in. He said, hey dude, look at what is coming off of the truck. You gotta come in and review it. And I said, you don't gotta convince me anymore. I will be there. Looking around the car, we've got Alcantara pretty much everywhere, just like all of the CS trim BMWs. Then they got some carbon fiber, gloss carbon fiber right here. It is a little weird. I mean, I gotta get used to it, not having the armrest. Something that all the CS models do, they don't have the armrest. Another cool thing is with all of the CS models, well, the majority of the CS models, they do not make them in a manual transmission when it comes to like the F80s or F82s or even the M5s, obviously. But this one, they made the M2 in manual with the CS, which is so cool. In my opinion, I just love the fact that even if not everyone's buying it, manual isn't for everyone. There's some of us just love a manual transmission and that connection, and they knew they had to keep that in this car, and I'm really, really glad they did, because I think the M2 in manual transmission, no matter which model you're getting, whether it's like the N55 or the S55 competition, they just drive so good, and they're just such an interesting car. If I got one, I probably would get it in the Alpine White. I think it's just such a sick color combination, especially with the black leather interior and the red little CS trim parts. But yeah, S55, it's here. Dude, S55s rip. They rip. They are torquey. They got good up-top power. This thing is completely stock, and it just feels incredible. But this car specifically is going to be made for the corners, and that's what I am excited to feel. This thing moves, man. It's so light. You can just feel all of that weight reduction they did in this car. It's incredibly light. Practically zero body roll in this car, all factory. Oh, love the manual. Manual is just the This also has the 763M wheels, which are arguably my favorite BMW OEM wheels. I love the design of these things. I'm pretty sure they're fully forged wheels, and they just look awesome on these cars. I love the design of them. You see all of that carbon ceramic brakes showing through. They just look good. This thing just eats corners. Like, it's not even a task for this car in the corners. It's crazy. I mean, I'm not even like fully gassing it, dude. It just feels so peppy. I would say that this car and the M5 CS are two of my favorite cars, especially BMWs, obviously, that I've ever driven. Both of these cars are just incredible when it comes to performance and handling. I've also driven the F82 M4 CS, which I liked a lot. But the thing with that car is I just felt like it would have been better with a manual transmission. Now the M5, I think the automatic fit that car more. It would have been kind of weird having that giant car with a manual. You know, DCT will still be fun. It shifts super fast. It's gonna be the faster option, but this one, all of the connection is there. It just feels so good. Everything is very similar to my OG M2 in terms of like the way that the transmission feels, the clutch feel, all of it. It's almost identical to my old M2. But then you just have that S55 power plant with that CS tune on it and all of the weight reduction. It just makes up for everything else that the OG M2 was lacking. However, the price points are going to be very, very different. I'm pretty sure the M2 CS MSRP is like high 80s. Now, I don't even know what they're going for in this market. You know, that's up to the buyer, whether it's worth that price to them. But I still think that these cars are just one of the best for the money that you can buy that BMW offers. God damn. It's just so peppy, man. This car is just... brakes are so good too. Holy crap, those carbon ceramics. I don't know if I would want to be the one that had to replace carbon ceramics because they're incredibly expensive, but dude, they are good and they are responsive. I remember when I first went to the track with my E36, I saw a guy out there with an M2 CS that was tracking his like brand new, same spec as this, Alpine White CS. It might have been, I can't remember if it was manual or DCT, but that dude was out there just being a legend in like a brand new, and this is a while ago, brand new M2 CS. I was just like drooling, like someday I'll be able to afford to do that. I love how they do the checkered carbon fiber roof on these ones too. It's pretty cool. And it just takes the power and goes. Wow, that is impressive. It's a very, very stable car. I did read some reviews about people who were saying that the M2 CS is just a bit too raw. I disagree completely. I mean, that's kind of the thing that I always look for in these newer cars that I miss from having the older cars. You know, give me some of that more raw feedback, man. Like, that's what makes me feel like I'm actually driving the car, you know? The rev matching is so interesting. Do you guys like that? Do you like the automatic rev matching? Who's a fan? I don't think I'm a fan. I got so used to just doing it in the E36 that, like, kind of just like doing it myself, you know? This thing is locked in the corners, man. Stock ride height and everything. That is just wild. Feels so good in the corners. So this does probably have the active sound design, which pumps like the fake noise through the speakers of the engine. Not a fan, but you can code that out. It's pretty easy. These BMWs these years, they didn't change too much. BMW kept it pretty simple. Part of me likes that, part of me doesn't like that. Part of me wished they would evolve a little bit sooner in their interiors, but also part of me just likes the fact that there's analog gauges. You know what I mean? I mean, these are digital, but they show like an analog look to them. Just stuff like that. And they kept it pretty simple, which part of me kind of likes, you know? That old school side of me likes that. But I also understand when people complain like, oh, we want more tech, we want changes to the interior, because this is almost identical to the interior of my OG M2. However, obviously it's got all the suede, some of the carbon, the armrest delete, and then the competition with the suede seats, stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, dude, it's the same car. It's the exact same car. So some little tricks and nannies that they added, which is kind of cool. But I think really what you're paying for with this car is just obviously going to be the performance, the weight reduction, the styling, the S55, the CS tune, the suspension, the carbon ceramics. Like, that is the package that you're paying for when you buy the M2 CS, which completely makes sense to me in this car. Usually we start the review videos with a little walkthrough and talk about the car, but this one we're gonna do it a little bit differently, and I'm gonna show you guys everything now. Just went for the little maiden voyage, and I do love it. M2 CS right there. So, you know, I mean, M2 competition. You got the suede though, you got the red stitches, suede, red patches up here, CS in the suede or Alcantara, whatever you want to call it, on the dash, armrest delete with gloss carbon, manual transmission, all pretty basic. Carbon over here, some more suede with leather and red stitching to match all the way through. Dude, these cars in the white though look really good. Now, I just saw recently that Matt Moorman got one in the Hockenheim silver, which I also really, really like. But I do notice that I'm seeing a lot of these, and well, not just these, but just M2s in general in Hockenheim silver. When I went to go on Auto Trader to just look at different M2 comps and whatnot, there is an abundance of Hockenheim silver M2s. So it doesn't make me feel like they're too special, but they do look good. I really do like that color. It's a stunning color. 763Ms, God, they're beautiful wheels. Now my Apexes are modeled after these, like they're very, very similar to these. I got the VS5 RSs, but you know, these are the real ones. These are the real thing, and I think they're like $7,000 for a set of these. Got the giant carbon ceramic brakes in gold. Just insane. They stop on a dime. It's crazy. Look at that clearance. Jeez, one rock. That's all it's gonna take. One little rock. So you got the Sport Cup 2s all the way around. M2s just look so aggressive. They got such wide fenders and hips. Obviously the front is gonna look very similar to the M2 competition. Does have the CS carbon fiber front lip. Entire hood is carbon fiber. You can see a little carbon fiber duct in here. Just pretty cool. Got your usual S55 with the CS tune, making, I believe it's 444 horsepower and like a little over 400 pound-feet of torque. The carbon fiber mirror caps, of course. And then one of my favorite things about the M2 CS is this checkered carbon fiber. It's so beautiful. They could have done, you know, your normal 1x1 or 2x2 weave, but no, I had to do something a little more special, which I love. CS rear trunk lid spoiler, and then it's got the carbon fiber diffuser with the M Performance exhaust system. Yeah, man, it's just a beautiful car. The question is, you know, is it worth it? I mean, these are not cheap at all, but I think that if you are like an M2 diehard fan, or you're really into tracking and you just want like to buy a car off the shelf that can do it all on the track and off the track, this is gonna be the car. All right, that is going to wrap it up. What an incredible car. I'm so glad I got to finally experience one of these. I was just like waiting for the day. Like, either one of my friends are gonna buy one or the dealership is gonna get one. And luckily I had Caesar hit me up on FaceTime and show me that they were getting this, and I'm just so thankful that he called me up to come out and review this car. If you guys are looking for any cars, make sure you hit up Alta Auto Group. We got plenty of stuff for sale. Like I said earlier, all types of cars, BMWs, Mercedes, usually higher end cars, middle to like higher end range cars, but just gorgeous, gorgeous specs, more individual and like special specs. Make sure you hit them up. I'm gonna have them linked down below. That is gonna wrap up this video. Love this car. Absolutely love this car. If I could afford it, I would 100% buy it. But right now is not the time. Maybe in the future, hopefully, I would love to own one of these. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I love you. See you in the next one.